Faith, if we could now, I would like to ask you to talk a little bit more around the Open Finance for Good category. COVID has touched every part of all of our lives. So what would you be looking for as a judge, please?
So, well, I'm really, as I said, looking forward to this. I think I was struck by what you said earlier about pace and innovation. And my kids go through sort of phases of watching horrible histories on repeat. And I was struck, when you think about the horrors of the First World War, at the beginning of that war, 80% of all soldiers with a broken femur died. But with innovation and development as a result of the war, the Thomas splint was invented or further developed, and 80% of all soldiers with the injury survived by the end of the war. And that's the massive change. And I think that's what I really want to see from this kind of disaster, this health and economic disaster from COVID, that we would see a real jump in terms of thinking about innovation in financial well-being, because we're about to kind of face this massive onslaught of the economy sort of taking a real dive. We already know that 11% of the population are in crisis and 17% are struggling to make ends meet. So I think it's really important that we've got firms being able to connect some of the difficulty and the challenge they see in their home life from what they're experiencing or what they're reading, being able to connect that with their work life and be able to say, okay, how can we actually start about solving problems? So I think the challenge is really important in terms of sensitizing us and making us more empathetic, but there are so many opportunities to help people. And I think 3 areas where I'd really like to see firms making progress is around being more inclusive. So we know that lots of people are having to move to digital, but there's still lots of people who are struggling with that move. So I'd love to see some innovation around helping people with payments, particularly, and really high control payments. There's lots of people who are struggling to make ends meet, and they don't want to see a receipt after a payment's been made. They want to know, how much have I got in my bank account? Can I afford to make this payment? And what's the implication if I pay for this thing? So some real innovation about thinking about how we give people real control over their payments. I'm struck by the fact that women are actually really impacted more so than men financially by COVID, because they're often working in lockdown sectors. So what are those opportunities to really reach out and design products that are convenient and fit around women's lives and family lives? And then also thinking about the health impact and the financial impact on Black and minority ethnic groups, it would be great to see some thinking about, okay, are there types of products that we need to shape differently to reach out, to make sure that they're inclusive and reaching into other people groups. The other aspect I wanted, which connecting with inclusivity, is relational. Money is a form of social capital. And we tend to think about individuals as in siloed capacity when it comes to money. So I'm really keen on use cases that connect people with family members or with friends. And we're seeing a bit of that through kind of initiatives which help people with their mental health or help people prevent fraud. But also thinking about how can we connect in carers and others. So sort of use cases which look at how can we connect people with other people in their family that can help them manage money, but not compromise privacy. So is it alerts or is it sharing insights? What is it that can connect people and really make money much easier to manage across families and within communities? And then the other thing I'm looking for is something that's transformational. So things that actually have a transformative impact on people. We've got lots of people coming into debt. How can we use open finance to make those journeys much simpler, much more empathetic? How can we help people apply for breathing space without that being hugely stressful? And also thinking about sort of involving other services in this, thinking about open finance, what aspects of insurance or energy or credit can we bring in? So other interesting combinations of data, like Chris mentioned earlier, to make services really work well. And I think the other area of transformation is the whole space around small businesses. So what is it that we can do? What are those real pain points for small businesses? Where are they, collapsing under the pressure of COVID, but wouldn't be collapsing if we were able to provide some real kind of helpers and pinpoints and help them with their cash flow or forecasting or payroll or just reducing the cost of payments. So interested in those areas. And I guess the other sort of space is thinking globally. So, actually the impact of COVID is global. And many people will be sending money to family or sending money to charities. And what is that last mile of making sure that with the impact of COVID in other countries, people are still able to access funds, whether that's charities working in communities where their offices have just been shut due to local lockdowns, or whether it's families sending money back to relatives in other countries where the financial impact has been so much greater. So those are some of the interesting use cases that it would be great to see coming from this Appathon, a real recognition of people's lives being, you know, hugely impacted, us personally and the developers personally, but also the customers we're looking to serve. So that's what I'll be looking for. It's what I'm excited to see coming downstream.